Have you ever stopped to wonder if the version of yourself that you show to the world is truly who you are? How much of your personality is authentically you? And how much is a carefully constructed image shaped by expectations? Carl Jung explored this very idea, introducing the concept of the persona, a psychological mask we wear to navigate different social situations. According to Jung, the persona is not necessarily fake or deceptive, but it is a filtered version of ourselves, a social adaptation tool that helps us function in society. It's the polished version of our identity, shaped by social norms, professional expectations, and cultural values. But here's the interesting part. While the persona helps us integrate into the world, it also has a profound effect on how we see ourselves. Over time, we can become so identified with the persona that we lose touch with our true nature, mistaking the mask for the self. Understanding this psychological mechanism allows us to recognize the roles we play, helping us develop a more authentic and balanced sense of self. Why does the persona matter? You might be thinking, why should I care about this? Well, the persona plays a crucial role in how we present ourselves in different social environments. Ever notice how you behave differently at work than you do with your closest friends? Or how your mannerisms shift when speaking to a boss versus a family member? This is the persona at work. Jung described it as a complex interaction between individual consciousness and societal expectations, a system that is both necessary and limiting. Society requires some level of conformity, and the persona helps us meet these expectations. However, when we become too attached to our persona, we risk suppressing our authentic emotions, desires, and individuality. This can lead to internal conflict, stress, and even identity crises. The persona is a delicate balancing act. It allows us to adapt, but if we over-identify with it, we might lose sight of who we truly are. The mask of social adaptation. Imagine yourself as an actor in a grand theatrical production. Each scene requires you to wear a different mask, adjusting your character to fit the storyline. In real life, we do the same, shifting between personas depending on the setting. At work, you might adopt a professional and composed persona, while at home, you relax into a more casual and unfiltered version of yourself. When out with friends, you may take on an entirely different role, perhaps more humorous or outgoing. The persona helps us transition smoothly between roles, allowing us to function effectively in various social circles. However, the challenge arises when one persona takes over completely, preventing us from expressing other aspects of ourselves. This can result in emotional dissonance, where the version of ourselves we present to the world is in conflict with our deeper, inner self. Multiple personas, more than just one mask. Here's where things get even more fascinating. People don't just have one persona, they have many. Just as actors can switch between roles, we shift between different social identities depending on the situation. You may have one persona for your professional life, another for family gatherings, and yet another for social outings. These personas help you adapt to different social environments, ensuring smooth communication and acceptance. In extreme cases, this psychological phenomenon manifests in dissociative identity disorder, DID, where individuals develop entirely separate personalities, each with distinct traits and memories. While most people don't experience such extremes, we all have layers of identity, some of which we are more aware of than others. Recognizing these shifting personas can help us better understand ourselves, allowing us to embrace authenticity while still navigating social expectations effectively. Striking a balance between persona and authenticity. The key to psychological well-being is not to reject the persona altogether. It serves an important function in our daily lives. Rather, the challenge is to become aware of the personas we adopt and ensure that they do not overshadow our deeper, authentic self. When we become too attached to a particular role, whether it's the dedicated professional, the responsible family member, or the social entertainer, we risk losing touch with the complexity of who we truly are. Self-awareness is the key. By recognizing when we are wearing a mask and understanding why we need it, we can cultivate a healthier relationship between our true self and the social roles we play. So, the next time you find yourself adjusting your behavior to fit a situation, ask yourself, is this mask serving me, or am I becoming trapped by it? The answer may reveal more about yourself than you ever imagined. At what point in life do we begin crafting these personas? The answer lies in childhood. From an early age, we start to internalize social expectations, learning which behaviors gain us approval and which lead to negative consequences. A child who receives praise for being polite or obedient may lean into that persona, while another who gains attention through humor may develop a playful or charismatic mask. Over time, these behaviors become ingrained, shaping how we present ourselves to the world. Unlike the straightforward and uninhibited nature of childhood, as we mature, our identity becomes more complex. Our personas are not only shaped by personal experiences, but also by culture, environment, and social norms. Imagine the difference between someone raised in a fast-paced city like New York, where resilience and adaptability are emphasized, versus someone growing up in a quiet rural setting, where community values and self-sufficiency might take precedence. Similarly, life hardships, whether financial struggles, personal loss, or societal pressures, can further influence how we dress, act, and express ourselves, leading to new layers of persona that help us navigate the challenges we face. Is the persona a blessing or a curse? This raises an important question. Is having a persona a good or bad thing? Like most aspects of psychology, the answer isn't black and white. Surprisingly, our persona is necessary for survival and success in society. It helps us navigate social interactions, adapt to different roles, and function effectively in various environments. Without it, we might struggle to fit in, leading to social isolation or difficulty managing daily responsibilities. A teacher, for example, cannot behave the same way in the classroom as they do at home, just as a CEO must adopt a different demeanor when leading a meeting versus spending time with close friends. These shifts are not inherently deceptive. They are practical and necessary. However, Jung warned of the dangers of over-identification with the persona. The problem arises when we begin to believe that the mask we wear is our true self. It's like an actor who becomes so immersed in a role that they forget their real identity. Over time, the line between persona and authenticity blurs, causing us to disconnect from our deeper emotions, desires, and values. This is when the persona transforms from a useful tool into a psychological trap. The hidden dangers of over-identification with the persona. One of the most significant risks of becoming too attached to a persona is the suppression of true feelings and emotions. Have you ever felt like you were not truly living your best life, or that you were lying to yourself about what really makes you happy? That's exactly what happens when a person's external identity no longer aligns with their internal self. When we mold ourselves too much to fit expectations, we may drift away from our genuine aspirations and values, leading to internal conflict and emotional distress. But that's not the only issue. Mental health can suffer when we strain ourselves to uphold an unrealistic persona. Imagine someone who has built their identity around being the perfect employee. They dedicate long hours to work, always appear professional, and never show signs of vulnerability. Over time, maintaining this facade becomes exhausting. The pressure to always perform, always be on can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout. This kind of emotional suppression not only makes it difficult to relax, but can also create feelings of emptiness, frustration, or even depression. Finding balance. How to avoid losing yourself in the persona. So what's the solution? Jung believed that the key to psychological well-being is awareness and balance. The persona is not the enemy. It plays a necessary role in helping us function in society. However, the challenge is to ensure that we do not mistake the mask for our true self. This requires self-reflection, emotional honesty, and a willingness to embrace the parts of ourselves that we may have hidden away. By taking the time to understand our personas, we can begin to reconnect with our authentic selves, allowing us to live with greater clarity, confidence, and inner peace. So, the next time you find yourself performing a role, ask, is this really me? Or is this just the mask I wear? The answer might just change the way you see yourself and the world around you. So what can we do about all this? How do we strike a balance between maintaining a persona that helps us navigate the world while staying true to who we really are? This is a fundamental challenge in personal growth, and self-awareness is the key. The first step is recognizing that the persona is a tool, not an identity. It is a necessary strategy for interacting with society, but it should never completely define us. Carl Jung described the journey toward authenticity as individuation, a process of integrating all aspects of ourselves, including the hidden or suppressed parts, into a fully conscious, unified identity. Individuation isn't about rejecting the persona, it's about understanding it. It's about learning to see where the mask ends and where the true self begins. Many of us go through life playing different roles without questioning whether these roles align with our deepest values and desires. But here's the catch. You can't embark on the journey of individuation if you're too caught up in the performance of your persona. Jung warned that those who become overly identified with their masks lose touch with their deeper self. To put it simply, if you're too focused on maintaining a role, you may never discover who you truly are beneath it. Practical steps. How to recognize and understand your persona. At this point, you may be wondering, okay, that makes sense in theory, but how do I actually apply this to my life? Let's break it down into practical steps. 1. Self-reflection. Observe your behavior in different situations. Start by paying close attention to how you behave in different environments. Are you the same person at work as you are at home? How about in social gatherings versus when you're alone? If you notice a significant shift, ask yourself, what triggers these changes in behavior? Do I feel comfortable with these shifts, or do they feel forced? Am I acting out of necessity, or am I losing touch with my real self? The goal isn't to erase these differences. You will always adapt to different situations. Instead, it's about understanding where these adaptations help you and where they may be limiting your authenticity. 2. Question your motivations. Are you playing a role? Whenever you find yourself adjusting your persona, ask, why am I doing this? Is it to fit in? To avoid conflict? To impress someone? If your persona is a deliberate choice that aligns with your values, that's healthy adaptability. However, if you find yourself compulsively shaping your identity based on external expectations, it may be time to reflect on whether you are suppressing an important part of yourself. 3. Pay attention to emotional reactions. Your emotions often reveal the gap between your persona and your true self. Do you feel drained after social interactions? Do you experience frustration or resentment after playing a certain role for too long? If maintaining a specific persona causes stress, exhaustion, or discomfort, it may be a sign that it's out of alignment with your authentic self. 4. Recognize that others wear masks too. Just as you present a persona to the world, everyone else does too. When you interact with people, remind yourself that their behavior may be shaped by societal expectations, fears, or personal struggles, just like yours. Instead of judging someone based solely on their surface persona, try to look deeper. This not only improves your relationships, but also helps you cultivate empathy and deeper connections. Achieving balance between persona and authenticity is an ongoing process, not an instant transformation. It requires self-awareness, self-acceptance, and the courage to embrace the parts of yourself that you may have hidden away. The key is not to reject the persona entirely, but to ensure that it serves you rather than controls you. So, the next time you catch yourself adjusting your behavior, ask yourself, am I acting out of necessity, or am I losing touch with my real self? That one simple question might just set you on the path toward a deeper, more authentic life. Reflecting on your past, how childhood shapes your persona. It's also worth taking a step back and thinking about your early experiences, how they may have influenced the persona you carry today. What behaviors were encouraged or discouraged in your upbringing? Were you praised for being polite and well-mannered, or were you expected to be tough and independent? Did you feel safe expressing your emotions, or did you learn to hide them to avoid conflict? The expectations placed on us as children shape the way we present ourselves as adults. Understanding these influences allows you to make more intentional choices about how you want to engage with the world, rather than simply reacting based on past conditioning. The role of life experiences in shaping your persona. Beyond childhood, our personal experiences, especially difficult ones, play a major role in shaping our persona. If you've been through significant challenges, losses, or hardships, your mind may have constructed a persona as a form of self-protection. Think of it as a shield, something that once kept you safe from pain, rejection, or vulnerability. For example, if you experienced betrayal or emotional neglect, you might have developed a persona that keeps others at a distance. If you were constantly expected to be strong and self-reliant, Your persona might resist asking for help, even when you need it. But here's the thing. While these protective personas may have served you in the past, they might not always be beneficial now. Growth and healing come from recognizing when these old defense mechanisms are holding you back. Instead of automatically hiding behind a mask, ask yourself, is this really who I am? Or is this just who I've learned to be? Moving forward, releasing outdated personas. A crucial part of personal growth is learning when to let go of outdated patterns and develop more authentic ways of interacting with the world. This doesn't mean you have to discard your persona entirely, just that you should be mindful of when it's helping you and when it's limiting you. By acknowledging the past without letting it define your future, you give yourself the freedom to become the person you truly want to be. That brings us to the end of our discussion today. We hope this gave you some valuable insights into the role of personas in your life. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more content like this. Until next time, keep exploring and stay true to yourself.